Today I want to talk about the riffy raffy or the brouhaha that has flared up between President Gustavo Petro and the Attorney General of Colombia, Luz Adriana Camargo. So a few months ago, you can read about it in Finance Colombia. The way that the Attorney General is selected in Colombia is that the president comes up with a list of nominees and then he submits that list to the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court votes on it. So he's sort of indirectly saying, or he's picking a list of people, a nominee list, but then the Supreme Court ends up choosing. And it was interesting because Petro had submitted several slates of candidates or his picks, and he started with the most radical people, the most leftist people that he could find that were part of his kind of guerrilla M19 former guerrilla mentality that he had. Of course, all of those candidates got rejected. He came up with another slate. The other slate gets the Supreme Court's like, we're not picking any of these people. So finally, he gets somebody loose. Adriana was part of his mayoral administration when Petro was the mayor of Bogota. She was not super close to him. She was not a top official or anything like that, but she was there in the kind of bowels of government. She's gone and done other things in her career as a lawyer, as a prosecutor. She worked on I think it was a UN initiative or kind of an anti-corruption process that the UN had in Guatemala. So she's got international experience. But anyway, so Petro is kind of frustrated right now, and things aren't going his way with his Paz Total, his Total Peace initiative, where remember he ran on a campaign for president saying, we're going to have total peace. It's going to be utopia in Colombia, and I'm going to go and talk to all of these rebels and guerrillas and ELN and FARC dissidents, and they're going to listen to me and just hand in their weapons and, I don't know, pick daisies or whatever the case might be. Well, it's not working out that way. So actually crime is on the rise, and not just crime, but importantly, these rebel groups are gaining strength. During the Santos administration 2 presidents ago, they were on their last legs. They were really beaten back, and they were kind of an endangered species. They were almost extinct. They started to recover during the Duque administration, not because Duque wanted to, but because his security policies were rather inept. But the will was there, but he just wasn't, I guess, a strong enough leader, didn't really know how to deal with them. But then with Petro taking another approach, saying we're not going to fight with them, we're going to embrace them, and if we talk to them enough, they will stop doing all the crimes that they're doing. Hasn't worked. So Petro is looking for, and he kind of does this, he kind of comes out and says, this is what we're going to do. When it doesn't work, he looks for victims. So Petro has said that they're going to hold talks with all of these groups, and then there's this guy Calarcá, which is, we talked about this actually before. He is and read more details in Finance Colombia, but even while he was designated as a negotiating party, somebody that Petro was negotiating with, meaning that the government isn't supposed to touch him, the government isn't supposed to go and keep arresting him or trying to blow up his enemy camps and such. At the same time, though, Calarcá and his dissidents were supposed to not force them into being soldiers and to not do all the crimes like extortion and drug production and things like that they were doing. But even though Calarcá was in these peace talks a year ago, he was caught not only still doing the crime, but he had vehicles and resources provided by the state because he's a negotiator and he's supposed to be negotiating peace with this total peace deal. And so he had in Colombia, they have armored, usually they're Toyota trucks, but there are other different types of vehicles. But so the government will provide you one. Let's say you're under threat because you're some kind of peace activist in a high risk position, or you're a government official and you're traveling in areas or in situations that may be dangerous for you. That's the National Protection Unit provides this protection. And so the not only was the government, Petro's government, providing Calarcá, this criminal leader of the FARC dissidents out there, that's basically a criminal mafia, with vehicles, but they were also under protection. And the Attorney General's office, they caught the guy. So they caught the guy down in Cauca, south of Cali, towards Ecuador, and he was just cold busted. They had him. They could have brought him in, but the Attorney General's office released him because he was supposedly under this kind of protective immunity as part of Petro's deal. Now the thing is that Petro, at first it was all secret. So nobody knew about this. And then Caracol Radio did a big investigation. We just talked about this, and we can provide a link to the last discussion on this. So we had all this, the Colombian government had all this information, and it was in possession of the prosecutor. And not until it was leaked to Caracol investigative journalists, Caracol's a media network, it came out very embarrassing for the president, very embarrassing for the Attorney General's office, because, hey, look, we had this bad guy who's out there killing people and kidnapping people's children, and they let him go. And turns out not only that, but this Calarcá guy has friends in high places in the government that are protecting him. And so people are justifiably asking, what kind of, is this your idea of total peace? Basically, total peace for the criminals, protecting them and not prosecuting them and letting them continue to commit these heinous crimes that they're doing. And so that's embarrassed the Petro administration. So Petro has then tried to place the blame on the Attorney General that he appointed by saying, and this is what's really kind of fascinating, he's come out in his favorite medium, which is Twitter or X or whatever, and he said that the Attorney General is preoccupied or afraid of being put on the Clinton list if she cooperates with his government, which is nonsense. There's no evidence for that. The U.S. is not, or Trump administration is not, not that I have any kind of secret information or anything like that, but she's not been accused of doing the things that Petro been accused of, or at least even you can argue of whether Petro should be on that list or not, and you can make a strong case to say maybe why he shouldn't be on that list. But even aside from that, Luz Camargo is nowhere around that conversation. And so Petro has just come out and accused her of being intimidated by the U.S. Treasury. And so he's basically saying that he's calling her yellow. He's calling her a chicken. And, she's come out and now she's pissed off at him and has come out and kind of put him in his place and said, look, I don't understand what this is based on. I don't have concerns like you're talking about. I'm not afraid of any Clinton list, because basically she's insinuating I'm not the criminal. Maybe you are. Maybe they know something about you. And she's made a good point and said that the Attorney General's office is not there to provide support for the government's political agenda, which is true. Her role is not to come out there and it's not like she's part of the president's cabinet. And it's not like even in the U.S. where the Attorney General heads the Justice Department and is directly appointed by the president and serves at the pleasure of the president. In Colombia, there is actually more independence between the Attorney General's office and the presidency. So she does not answer to the president at all. She answers to the Supreme Court. And her duty is to serve as an impartial prosecutor of crime and not to promote or further President Petro's agenda. So it's interesting because there's been this breakdown now. So you have to look back to remember that Petro, his top candidates, the people that he wanted to appoint, the Supreme Court said, no, these people are just beyond the pale. They're not qualified to serve as the country's prosecutor. And he had to keep going back and getting people that were less radical or less militant. When I say militant, I don't mean that they were violent or anything like that necessarily, but let's say politically militant and allied closely to Petro and wanting to go and use the prosecutor's office to promote his political agenda and the things that he wanted to accomplish. So we'll keep an eye on this, but this is an interesting development, not just in this Calarcá case, which is a big scandal, but also in the evolving relationship between the Fiscalia, which is the Attorney General's office, and the presidency under Gustavo Petro. They've got about 10 months to go. The election season, we're here in December. The election season is going to be heating up really soon. And so all of these things are going to be ingredients in the big ajiaco soup that's going to be the Colombian electoral scene in the coming months. So stay tuned. We'll keep you updated here with Finance Colombia, with Colombia Business News Recap. Let me know in your comments. I really do want to hear from you. Who's in the right here? Is it Petro? Is it Luz Camargo? Nobody's in the right. Are they working together to protect Calarcá? Is it incompetence or is it corruption? Are they in cahoots with these criminal mafia leaders of things like the FARC dissidents and the ELN and the Clan del Golfo and these other different groups? Or is it that they're really idealistic and they believe in this total peace concept and are just pura sangre or true blood basically pure blood believers in the Pacto Histórico or the Colombia Humana political project? So let me know your thoughts and tell me, am I wrong? Is Petro wrong? Is Camargo wrong? Is everybody wrong? What do you think? I'd love to hear from you. Thanks a lot. Be sure to like and subscribe to the Colombia Business News Recap podcast so that we can keep you updated on this. Talk to you soon.